Hello again, everyone. You're listening to another episode of Executive Platform's Blueprint podcast series. My name is Geoff Micks. I'm Executive Platform's Head of Content and Research. My guest today is Romanus Prabhu of ManageEngine. Romanus is recognized as a corporate IT leader and security evangelist with a passion for endpoint security and championing security solutions. Romanus, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hey, Geoff. Thank you. Appreciate your impressive work at Executive Platforms. Great, insightful content curated. Thanks for that. And thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. Why don't we start off by talking about something that is important to everyone working in data security and cybersecurity, endpoint strategies to achieve compliance. What is new in this space that you want to let people know about?
Okay. Pondering upon the latest security incidents, right? One could easily say that the threat actors are actually adapting new technologies, new methods to launch unsuspicious attacks on the businesses, right? So this gives us a understanding that they are working on the modern new ways, sharpening the skills. Now, as a protector of assets, right? What do we have is solely the tools. We depend on the tools, of course, on the human skill set, the data which the tools generate. Now, what I would suggest is have a clear strategy according to your business. Business should have, any tool should have its capabilities, right? But business should have its own outcome. So having a strategy, having the requirement of the business and aligning the tool according to that is going to bring out better outcomes, which will make the tools look better and use better for the business. Now, I would say have a strategy. That's my point.
Absolutely. Now, I think everyone working in this space already has some processes in place, but of course, then the question becomes, are they resilient enough? What advice do you have for security professionals who want to sense check and reinforce their systems?
That's a great question. Yes, nobody's defenseless, right? So everybody has one or the other way of protecting their assets. Now, when I talk about assets, it's about the business runs on it, right? It could be identity, it could be endpoints, and the endpoints generate data for the business using the applications provided by the organization and using the infrastructure. These are the basic assets that we are talking about. And each asset has its own vulnerability. It's everywhere, right? You need to work in the assumption that the breach is going to happen, right? The incident would happen, right? So in order to achieve that, now you should always think that whether you are capable of bringing back these endpoints to business normalcy after the attack. So we have to assume attack, and the attack is going to happen at any time, depending on the vulnerability that you have. So how soon you are able to come back to business? That's the standard now, right? Now you can think about the famous castle and moat, right? We used to hear in stories, right? There is a perimeter level water body in which you have deadly reptiles, and you have castle, and then the first level perimeter where you have archers, you have stone pelts, and you have the second layer where you have more soldiers. Right? This is to basically ensure that attackers who come in should be layered, stopped at different levels. Now, think about the way the attack has changed. Now, it's going to be airborne attack, and the Air Force is the sky is going to have the attack. Now, having this system, your castle and moat is not going to work out there. So you have to understand the attack type and then re-strategize, rethink about your strategies and ensure your business gets that kind of protection. So it is always necessary to have re-strategize, realign your tools, rethink about what strategies you have according to the attacks that are happening at any point of time.
I think that's such an interesting analogy to imagine defenses of, say, a castle worked on threats of the past, and we're living in the present time or anticipating the future. And as good as castles are, they can't do everything in the modern era. I think maybe this is where I pivot into talking about how AI is changing some of the conversations around cybersecurity. I mean, certainly that would be the assault from the air to a castle analogy. Things are changing. What are some of the conversations you're having in this space with your clients?
Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, the attack surface, the methodology, the tactics, the attackers, threat actors are using are changing. Now, I should say more than us, they use the AI tools, capabilities to launch attacks. They use that to launch the attack at your weakest gap. You will not know that it's happening. So for example, we have all the security parameters, right? All the security tools at different layers. Now, when there is an attack, it's called living off the land, right? Living off the land. So when there is an attack, which is happening from the known endpoint by the known identity using the authorized approved tools, what you has approved for the end users. When there is an attack happening in this pattern, right, with the traditional tools, with the traditional methodology, you will not be able to even move that to suspicious mode. But only when you have deep learning, behavior analysis, right? All those things at the back end, going through the AI and ML, right? You should be able to detect that and tell you, no, this is not, though there are approved applications from authorized user, approved recognized endpoint, but this seems to be odd because this node has never reached this server at this point of time from this location, right? Now, all these combination of different sources are fed into AI based on the machine learning. It should be able to even stop such attacks happening in real time.
Can we talk a little about striking the balance between protection and productivity? I know everyone working in data security and cybersecurity wants to achieve endpoint compliance, but only so much of their job can be focused on the protection side of things. What should they be keeping in mind when they prioritize their work?
Right. See, we all understand that security is for the business. The business is not for the security. So in an organization, the GRC team, governance, risk, compliance, think about this and ensures any security measure is not disturbing or causing the business or slowing down it. So you cannot secure at the cost of business, right? If you're prioritizing that, you could be a CIO, CISO. You're not going to be trusted by your organization. Now you should have a strategy to build security culture. Usually people say the people or the employees are the weakest link in an organization, right? Now, unless you change that situation and create security aware partners are nothing but the people who work for you. Unless this is done, this is going to be really challenging. So I was talking about balancing the security according to the business needs, but I'll also say to the management, what they should focus on is there is no fun in spending thousands of millions of dollars on tools if few of your employees are going to click on all the links, phishing links. It's going to pull down all your tools and the investment. So invest equally on the tools and also on the security culture awareness with your employees. When the people weakest link becomes partners in security, you should be able to maximize and ensure that it is protecting and resilient in terms of business.
I wonder if we can expand a little upon people as the weakest part in data security, because that is something that I think is true across any organization, and yet it can also be a little uncomfortable to admit. It's our people who are probably going to be our biggest risk.
Yeah, so I hate saying that. So that's the reason I said these people have to become partners, right? The tools would become platforms, right? And the processes would become practices. So the partners having good practices on the platform is going to be very secure. So we at ManageEngine, Zoho, have a platform dedicated for this where we build trainings. And even today, I'm here to enable our partners who in turn would work for the customers, right? So having proper knowledge, security awareness, security culture would actually ensure that you protect the business in a productive and secure way. So we focus more on that. We have all our partners enabled across the globe. We have all our platforms in the cloud with all the trainings required for them. We have certification programs. So we believe in that tools along with people, the platform and the partners with the practices is going to make the business resilient.
Well, let's talk about ManageEngine's unified endpoint management and security specifically then. What makes ManageEngine's UEM a leader in this space?
Okay, I have so much to talk about this, but I'll stop with one quick single analogy, right? Now, we believe in layered defense, right? Layered security. Now, if you look at the threats which are coming to endpoints, you can classify them as known vulnerabilities. We know that there is a problem, and the vendor also know there is a problem. So they release fixes, and the threat actor knows that there is a problem, and you are using it. So it's your responsibility to take the patches and ensure that it is fixed, right? So the first layer is known vulnerability. You have to ensure all your known vulnerabilities in terms of patching, in terms of misconfiguration, in terms of unwanted application, in terms of in terms of ports, protocols which are not required. You know that WannaCry, the popular the ransomware attack happened in 2017 is because of SMB v1 vulnerability, for which Microsoft released the patch probably 10 days before the attack, which was launched. And nobody cared to deploy that even on the internet-facing Windows servers. That's the reason you can find that it's a huge attack across the globe, right? So handling your known vulnerabilities becomes your first line of defense. And then your unknown vulnerabilities, we can call them as blind spots. So you use browsers. What is inside the browser? Unless you know, you will not be able to stop what's happening, some malicious activities. You cannot stop that. You have to understand what is inside that. You have to understand what are your applications, why you are allowing it, what are the things you want to stop it. And device controls, what are the attached devices, USB devices? Can they transfer data, business data to them? Can they send the business sensitive data? First of all, have you marked your business sensitive data? It cannot be leaked by any means, right? These are the blind spots which we cannot monitor, but a tool, a policy should be able to do that. Now, this becomes your second layer of defense, right? Unknown vulnerabilities. And then you have unknown, which is like what we discussed earlier, detect and response. In spite of having so many precautious preventive methods, there is going to be still gap. And that has to be how soon you are going to detect that and respond to it. And how soon you are able to come back to business to normalcy. That's about the third layer. Now, our tools, we have the strategy and have these layers in the tool so that it stops problems at different levels. So what you get at the last layer is only new kind of threats which are not known or unknown vulnerabilities, which is completely unknown. So that's the strategy. So from that perspective, I would say this is the strategy that we recommend, and the recommendation is possible through the tools.
Now, we've already talked about how everyone in this space has systems in place. How much of ManageEngine's solution is about building on top of and integrating into that system, and how much of it is about replacing disparate systems with something more unified?
Right. So we call our system as unified endpoint management and security, right? It has got, as I mentioned earlier, it has got, if you layer it, you should be able to consolidate everything, right? Not at the last layer. Different layers will stop everything. But the customers would have already invested in one product, right? So which might be a vulnerability scanner, which can give you a result based on the scanning. But in order to remediate that, you have to have yet another tool. Now, our strategy is to ensure maximize your existing investment and ensure that we complement such an environment so that you should be able to integrate these two and maximize the investment you already have done. So the existing tool can do the scanning, vulnerability scanning, we should be able to remediate. Similarly, there are help desk solutions where you need to have more data. Similarly, SIEM solutions, the reporting, business intelligence tools, wherever it needs data from endpoint. XDRs, where they need the endpoint detection and response information. Now, we have a coexistence strategy policy where we should be able to integrate with existing investment and then ensure the customers are able to maximizing their investment. And if they want, we also have the full package end to end, which can do the job for them. So strategically, we have both enabled.
I appreciate everyone's experience is going to be a little different, but what does a typical rollout of this look like? What does getting started look like, and how long does it take to get up and running?
Trust me in this because it's going to be very easy. When we enter into this market, probably 20 plus years back, our founders ensured that the basic stuff, it should be done by the end user himself. Download, simply download, install. You don't have to configure. Everything is pre-configured. Just roll out. And we ensure that it is available for evaluation for decent number of days, or we can even extend that. So getting that, rolling it up is not at all a problem, right? And then once you have a feel of it and you want to extend it, and ensure that it has to be there in the whole network with all the endpoints, and still it's going to be very simple, easy. We have had few of our biggest customers who have done the implementation and the rollout by themselves. So it's pretty easy. I would say for a 5,000 to 10,000, it's in a couple of days you should be able to just get everything up and running with reports and policies configured.
Amazing. Now, you yourself are a director of product support and work with clients all over the world. Without getting into too many specifics, you and I are actually 13 time zones apart right now as you're dealing with a client. What does that working relationship look like? How does partnering with ManageEngine work in the day-to-day and in the long-term big picture?
Yeah, we believe in the partner ecosystem, right? Now, you cannot be everywhere, right? And there is a lot of cultural and a lot of challenges in terms of working in different locations, different places. Now, strategically, we have partners across the globe, and they do the excellent job for us. And even now, as you mentioned, I'm in Da Nang. I'm just recalling it in name, Da Nang, and doing a Southeast Asian partners training. So we ensure our partners are equipped with technical knowledge, product knowledge, and we also enable them in terms of reaching out to enterprise, small and mid-market customers, so that whatever the strategy is required, we are at their back end and ensuring that it's happening. So since our strategy for this environment is based on the partners, we ensure we have a global meet, we have local regional meets, and all our technical teams are backing up locally here. So we ensure that they are empowered through us so that they could serve better to our customers.
If you're comfortable mentioning where you are, I will add in 200 plus episodes of this show. I think you now hold the record for the furthest apart my guest and I are in this interview. So that's wonderful. I know we've covered a lot of ground in this conversation. If there are one or two things you want people listening to think about further after this episode is over, what would you want to highlight for them?
Okay, so I just want to summarize on two things. One, there are a lot of tools. So don't go by the tools. Go by the strategy, your business line, requirement, and then align the tools according to that. So that's going to yield you better benefits out of the two. One. Two, you have to ensure your people, business customers are becoming your security partners. You inculcate the security culture so that your investment goes in tools in enabling people to be aware about the security initiatives that you do so that you have the best of the breed.
For people who want to learn more and ask a few questions of their own, what's the best way to get in touch?
Yeah, so we have the forums, we have our own channels everywhere, and you can reach out to me, my team, and we would be happy to help you out. And I think we have the links with my LinkedIn handle or my personal handles. You can reach out to me. I can also put you in the right resources so that they can help you out.
I always think it's so generous when people say, connect with me on LinkedIn, because I've certainly enjoyed speaking with you. So I hope people do who have been listening to this and say, oh, you should have asked this, you should have asked that. Romanus is a great person to connect with. Please do reach out to him on LinkedIn. I also want to say, for everyone who's been listening to this episode, I encourage all of you who are joining us at the North American Information Security Summit in Denver, please do visit the ManageEngine team in our exhibition hall as well, so you can have a conversation of your own. Romanus, thank you so much for your time today.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I enjoyed the conversation. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
You've been listening to another episode of Executive Platform's Blueprint podcast series. I've been Geoff Micks. Let's do it again soon.